Last time on Coffee and Chaos, we were talking with Brent Johnson, former NHL goaltender and now hockey analyst for Comcast Sports. Hey, once we started talking about hockey, it was like old friends and just chit-chatting, and we fresh ran out of time. Brent was gracious enough to stay in the studios, and we concluded our conversation. I think you're going to find this really, really interesting. Now, for those of you who may not have caught part one, first, shame on you. But second, let me set this up for you. Let me show you a little bit. This is when Brent was playing for the Pens against the Carolina Hurricanes. Watch this save. It's amazing.
Getting to it now, Skinner. Out of the corner. Falk with a shot. Stop the rebound. Off the post. Fought for and covered. Oh, my goodness.
Grease, I think Johnson had it. Falk had two A-plus caliber bids. What a look here from Skinner.
You know, my dad always just taught me the way he learned. You know what I mean? And that worked out for me great. But now you don't like going up through the ranks. You want these goalies to be prepared for the next level, obviously. And younger kids, I say, you know what, do what's comfortable. You know what I mean? Do what's comfortable. I don't think you should have to. I don't think you should have to play a certain way. You know what I mean? Like, I just don't want. I just wouldn't want me to be the cause of, you know, some kid not being able to move up and, like you said, maybe stereotyped against because he doesn't do that, you know, that type of style.
Sure. You know, let's talk a little bit about kids, because when your playing days with the Pens were over, you had expressed an interest in getting into coaching, and you hooked up with Quest.
Yes.
Hockey?
Yeah.
I believe I got that name. Yeah, Quest Hockey. And you were actually running some schools there and some training camps and things of that nature. Are you still involved in that? Or
still involved with Quest. No, still involved with Quest. Yeah, I'm kind of, I'll be doing some on-ice stuff with them. We're thinking about putting out like a instructional video for goaltenders. And that would be one of the cases where, you know, you could do both ways and show and say, what are you comfortable with? You know, I mean, you could, on an instructional video, you know. But yeah, Quest has been great. They're a new hockey company here in Pittsburgh, and two good guys. I think they're Penn State alums, so they're good guys, and yeah, we're moving forward. You know, they have apparel line that's coming out, and I'm trying to get that kind of out to different guys in the league, kind of spread the name around.
Sure.
You know, especially here in Pittsburgh and in Washington.
Now, you bring up Washington again, so we got to say this, that Brent has decided to become a analyst. I think is what the term that goes for CSN, which is Comcast Sports Network. And I know this is going to sit wrong with the audience, but he's going back down to Capital Country to do this. Now, we should point out that you played with the Caps before you came to the Pens.
Yeah, 5 years.
See, people in Pittsburgh remember everything Pittsburgh, and they don't remember anything around it as a general rule. So he played down in the Caps. And, you know, I wanted to ask you this, too. You are probably one of the few people who have had the opportunity to play with both Ovi and Sid.
And Gino.
As teammates and then as opponents.
Yes, and I didn't like playing against any of them.
Is that right?
Yeah.
Well, what was it like playing with them?
I'll tell you, they're both so different. And I get the question, like, you know, who's best? Who's better of the two? I saw Ovi in his rookie season do things that I've never seen anyone do. His style is a bull in the china shop style. You know, he'll run through guys. He's not afraid to take the body. He's not afraid to, you know, mix it up. Same with Sid. Sid's not afraid at all either. He gets in, mucks in the corners better than anybody, actually. But they're so different. I thought when I played with Ovi, I thought that I've seen the greatest. Especially, you know, practicing against him every day, you know, I thought it made me better. And he's got one of the greatest releases. You can see he's close to 30 goals already this year, and just crazy. But then I got to Pittsburgh, and I know from playing against Sid, he had scored on me a couple times, and I think he probably really liked playing against me. Well, just because he could score a lot.
He scored a lot on a lot.
Oh, he scores a lot on a lot of people. But when I got to practice and I saw what Sid does, I've never seen a better hockey player. He's the best at everything he does. I mean, and he works for it. It's not like of course he's got that talent, but he works like none other. I mean, it's that ethic, that work ethic that, I mean, it kind of, you look at it when you're in the dressing room and you're like, wow, this guy probably wouldn't have to, lift anything the rest of his career. But he works on it. He works on face-offs. He works on his hands. He works on one-timers. And, I'm so privileged that I got to play with both those exceptional hockey players. And like I said, they're both completely different. Yeah. But what Sid does with a puck, I've never seen anyone do. Yeah. I mean, hands like lightning, and hands as fast as lightning, but as smooth as butter. And yeah, I think the greatest I've ever played against and with.
Now people are going to say right away, since Brent is going back down into capital territory, that he's turned his back and become a traitor. But we should soften that by saying that his wife is from that area.
Oh, yeah.
Her family's down there. Yep. And we want to say congratulations. We understand you're
thank
expecting
you very
your second
much.
baby
Yeah.
is coming along, so that's good. His last year with the Pens probably wasn't as strong as he wanted to, but that didn't stop Brent Johnson from still putting up some amazing highlight saves on the old reel. Take a look at this in a game against Detroit.
Along by Stewart, and reaching for it is Helm, and he's got it. Helm pumped one along, a 2-on-1 with Abdelkader. Given to Abdelkader, back to Helm. Oh, and what a stop by Johnson.
How in the world did you go from dropping your career, wanting to get involved with teaching kids, and now all of a sudden broadcasting?
It's actually pretty easy story. I had, kind of, after my third year here with the Pens, I had talked about maybe coming in as the next goalie coach here in Pittsburgh. And, it was something that we had discussed, a little bit here and there. And this was even before I had, before I retired, and it was one of those things. I went out, I interviewed for it, for the job, and it just wasn't right. They wanted to go in a different direction, which is completely awesome. I thought I would be able to help Flower move along, and just went a different way. And no hard feelings or whatever. I still think it's one of the best organizations in the NHL. Great class act.
Did you feel you still had playing time left in you though when they did?
It was the lockout, and I think that that lockout probably ended a few careers. Yeah. But it's part of hockey. I had my only regret is that I wish my daughter would have been older to see me play. That's my only regret. Yeah. I think things happen for a reason, and so after the coaching didn't work here, I was like, all right, I can go out on the ice with kids. I can give them what my dad gave me. Teach them as best of my ability. So I did that around the area. I went from rink to rink in the summer, and actually did some things with the Penguins, did their camps, did Quest camps, and so I was like, okay, what do I want to do? Should I maybe try and get a job, maybe doing minor league goal coach? And so we had looked different places, and it turned out that it's going to be a lot of travel, a lot of work. I shouldn't say, of course it's going to be a lot of work, but a lot of travel, which is time away from my family. I was good with my money when I played. I wasn't, you know, I was pretty frugal. So it was one of those decisions. I was like, all right, well, let's see if I can use some of my contacts that I've known throughout the years playing, and you know, see if I can get a job doing some broadcasting. You know, maybe that's something I'll like. I didn't know, so I gave an old friend, Billy Bell, a call from Comcast, and actually talked to a couple guys here at Root Sports, and met with both of them. And Billy Bell just said, hey, listen, you know what? It's funny you called, because I really was thinking about getting a guy that had played here and just, you know, kind of use, if we need him, you know what I mean? Put you on the, you know, on the, in the bullpen, if you will. And so I was like, hey, use me. I mean, I'm only 4 hours away. I live in Pittsburgh, but I can get there, you know, half a day. I'll be there. And so he's like, great. So he gave me, you know, a handful of games at the start and gave me a whole season of my schedule, which was perfect, you know, so I can go in and do like 2, 3, 4 right in a row and then come back.
So you're going to stay in Pittsburgh and make the commute?
Well, I am. We're going to, come April, we'll probably go back full time, and that's probably, you know, obviously that'll be playoff time.
Sure.
So April we'll be back there, but yeah. So it wasn't like I was like, oh, I know what I want to do, you know. And but I gotta say, it is hard. I mean, I saw it from afar, and I never really. It's not like I took it for granted that I thought it was like just maybe it just, you know, came out and everything was simple, maybe because some guys make it look simple. But a lot of homework, and a lot of timing that I had to adjust to. But I felt the first time I went on, I felt like I was going my first NHL game. I was nervous.
Sure.
I was. You couldn't tell, but I probably was sweating, and you know what I mean, and a little red or flush. But it's a rush, and I loved it. I loved it from the moment I got on. Obviously, it wasn't perfect from the start, and I'm sure it won't be from here on out. But it's something I want to work at and try and get better. And if, you know, let's say, you know, come the end of the year, if I'm starting to get a really good hang of it, then yeah, it's something I could want to do for sure. But you know that there's tons of options, and like I say, like getting on this social media thing and finding out, man, there's some people with some really good ideas out there for hockey, and a lot of people that have, you know, asked for my opinion and asked if I want to be an ambassador to their brand or whatnot, and yeah, so I'm kind of looking forward. I kind of got my you know, hands in a bunch of different pots around, but I really like the you know, doing the pregame, postgame, and you know, and getting that timing down. That's like, it's good, and you know, working with someone that played in the NHL, so I kind of feel like I'm back in a dressing room a little bit, you know, just talking shop, and yeah, it's fun, man. Just make it, I kind of make it like, you know, you're sitting at a bar having a beer with a guy, you know, and just talking hockey. Yeah, so
it's good stuff.
It's good stuff, exactly.
Let's wrap this up, Brent, with something you had that you know, we've talked a lot on the hockey show about a natural kind of prejudice that exists in hockey favoring the French Canadians, and how it's a little tougher for, you know, maybe an American player to make cracks into the league. Did you feel additional pressure in your career because of the pedigree that you had. You had your dad, who played your grandfather?
Yes.
Is in the Hall of Fame. So a little bit more for you to get up there. And did you put more on yourself to try to?
I didn't actually. My dad or my grandfather didn't. It was. I thank them, my mom and dad, so much for everything they were able to give me. You know, we weren't well-off family. You know, we were. My dad, you know, got me my first set of goal pads. They were in a garbage bag by the Christmas tree when you know, I was like 12 or 13 years old, and I thought it was the greatest thing in the world, and. I didn't, growing up, my dad just asked me, is this something you want to do? Do you want to do this? And I said, it's awesome. Now, along the way, there were calls back to my dad crying from games. Oh, we lost 8-1, you know. It's, you know, I made this many saves, you know, and so it was, there's a lot of growing up, and I feel like I grew up maybe a little too fast in the, you know, when I was kind of maturing, you know, getting like to that 17, 18 where I knew hockey is what I wanted to do. And then once I finally got there, and this truthfully, I'm not joking about this. I mean, I was helped out by a lot of different people because of my grandfather's connections and my dad's connections. So, you know, the first one I can remember is when I'd been drafted by Colorado Avalanche in the 5th round, and I was like, no way, I got drafted, because I played like 13 games the year I got drafted. Played great in them, but I was like, God, I didn't think that was enough. But before I had ever stepped foot on the ice for the Avalanche, I had been traded at 20 years old to St. Louis. Yeah. And the main reason I got traded was because my grandfather knew the president at that time of the Blues. And I believe that. That's just, I mean, this is kind of what I have heard over the years. And so it worked out unbelievable. And then signed in the same day. Traded and signed in the same day. And the funniest story, I was at work with my dad. I went like 20 years old and went to work with my dad, or I might have been 19. You know, we were putting siding on a house or something like that, and we're driving back from work and pull into the driveway. My mom comes screaming out of the house. I've been traded to St. Louis, and you signed. They want to sign you. Hurry, we got to get to a fax machine. Hurry. And oh man, it was a whirlwind. I was like, because literally, I didn't know if hockey was going to work out. Yeah. You know what I mean? I didn't know if it was going to be, you know, maybe the AHL and maybe you know, the East Coast or whatever. And it's funny how things happen. It really is. I never felt added pressure. It was one of those things that, holy man, it just happened. It just kind of happened, you know. And you know, I was getting ready to put a tool belt on, you know, with my dad. I really was. I think it's you know, a good job, and you know, you make things and whatnot. But yeah, it was. How it all happened is truly amazing. It really is, and I loved it in St. Louis. I loved it there. I loved it everywhere I've been. I loved it. And everyone's been kind to me, even in the minors, playing in Worcester. Yeah. Oh man, good city. Good city. Not too far from Boston either. And yeah, so it all was wonderful. And like I said before, I can't thank my mom, dad, grandfather enough. Like, they've been just, I mean, if I can be that good to my kids, I achieved something.
Sure. Well, Brett, I got to tell you, and you know you're going to find this odd. Maybe you won't, but I still have in my collection one of your signed cards from your days in St. Louis.
Oh, yeah?
Came into, I think it's your rookie card.
Oh, yeah, it probably is.
St. Louis, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it's still got that. I enjoyed when you played for St. Louis, and I told a lot of people to keep an eyeball on you. I was real happy when you came here to Pittsburgh, and I'm kind of glad that you wrap things up here.
Yeah, me too.
We'll forgive you for going back down to Washington and being an analyst.
Right, thank you, thank you.
We'll let you go. I'll let you slide on that one. But I want to thank you for coming on to the show. It was great talking with you, and like you said, we could probably sit here and talk for another half hour.
Oh my God,
without
easily,
any
yeah,
problem.
easy.
But again, thanks again for coming by, and congratulations on being a dad.
Oh
again.
yeah, I know.
Fantastic.
I'm excited.
And,
I'm excited.
We'll have to get the satellite dish and tune in some of those Washington Capitol
there you go.
broadcasts so we can
critique me
about it. Yes, absolutely. We haven't gotten the official coffee mugs for Coffee and Chaos yet, but we do have parting gifts for you here.
Oh,
Thanks
nice.
very much
Thank you
for stopping by. That's
Awesome.
going to wrap up this edition of Coffee and Chaos. A hybrid edition that kind of bled over a little bit into the topics of In the Crease as we talked with Brent Johnson, former NHL goaltender and now hockey trainer and soon-to-be Comcast Sports analyst for the dreaded Washington Capitals. Out there again. Again, thanks to Brett for coming along. Thanks to everybody in the control room for helping out. Until next time on Coffee and Chaos, I'm Fiore. You have yourself a good evening.